If you've been scrolling through endless lists of massage chairs, watching videos that all sound the same, and still can't decide which one actually makes sense for your home, this review is meant to cut through the noise. I've spent the past week sitting in a few different models, reading what owners are saying on forums, and thinking about the exact moments a chair like this would get used, from a post-run recovery to an evening wind down after a long day at the desk. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Human Touch HT5320 promises a whole-body stretch experience, a foot and calf massager that actually extends, and a set of arm and thigh sleeves that tuck away when you're not using them. All of that sounds great on paper, but the real question is whether the chair lives up to that promise when you're actually trying to unwind, and whether it justifies the price tag compared with a regular spa session. First, let's talk about who this chair is really built for. If you spend a lot of time on your feet, say you're a teacher, a nurse, or you've taken up running or hiking, the added calf and foot massager can be a game-changer. The extendable vibrating rollers reach down to the lower calf and can even be positioned to hit the arch of the foot. That means you can target the tightness that builds up after a double shift without needing to roll a separate foot massager over and over again. For someone who already splurges on a weekly sports massage, the chair could replace a few of those appointments and still feel worthwhile. On the flip side, if you're looking for a chair mainly to sit in while you binge-watch TV and you're okay with a simple back rub, you might be overpaying. The HT5320's biggest selling point is the full-body stretch and the additional sleeves, so if those features sit idle in your living room, you're essentially paying for hardware you never use. In that scenario, a more basic recliner with a good lumbar massage could do the job for a fraction of the cost. Now, let's walk through the practical strengths. The first thing I noticed is the way the chair adjusts to different body sizes. The seat depth and the arm and thigh sleeves slide forward and backward, which helps keep the massage rollers aligned with your spine and hips. When I'm at my 5 feet 10 inches height, the rollers sit right under the lumbar region, and the stretch function can pull the hips slightly forward, mimicking a gentle yoga hinge. For taller users, the ability to slide the arm sleeves forward means the rollers still reach the upper back without you having to hunch over. The foot and calf massager is another highlight. Because it's extendable, you can bring it down low enough to engage the sole of the foot, which is something many chairs miss. In my own routine, I start with a 5-minute foot stretch after a morning run, then let the chair take over for a deeper calf need. The vibration adds a subtle but noticeable increase in blood flow, which actually helps reduce the stiffness I usually feel after a long hike. It's not a substitute for a professional sports therapist, but it's a solid daily maintenance tool. Control simplicity is surprisingly good. The 3D remote sits on the armrest and feels light enough to flip through programs without looking down. Each program is labeled with a short description: full body, calf focus, foot relax, etc. I never had to dig through a menu to find the stretch mode. A single press toggles it on and the chair begins the gentle lengthening sequence. For tech-averse users, the learning curve feels minimal, and the remote's tactile buttons avoid the frustration that comes with touchscreen panels that can be hard to see in low light. Noise is a common complaint with many high-tech chairs, but the HT5320 stays relatively quiet. The motor that drives the stretch and the rollers produces a low hum, similar to a ceiling fan, and the foot vibration is soft enough that you can still hold a conversation without raising your voice. If you plan to use the chair while watching a movie, you won't be distracted by loud whirring sounds. The footprint of the chair is something to consider early on. It's a fairly large piece, roughly the size of a standard recliner but a bit deeper because of the stretch mechanism and the extendable foot unit. In a modest living room, you'll need at least a 2-meter width clearance to allow the foot rollers to fully extend without hitting the wall. If space is at a premium, you may need to rearrange furniture or place the chair in a dedicated corner, which could be a deal breaker for apartment dwellers. Comfort over time is where the real test lies. During the first half hour of use, the cushioning feels firm but not hard, and the built-in lumbar support seems to adapt as the stretch pulls you slightly forward. After about an hour of continuous use, the padding under the thighs starts to feel a bit compressed, especially